Greetings, everybody. My name is Robert Sean Kennedy, and I will be your instructor for this session, History 1301 or History 1302. We're going to be looking at a History 1302 course, so we might be looking at content for my History 1301 students that only applies to History 1302, but the expectations and the guidelines and the procedures of this course apply to both courses. So let's begin. First thing you want to do is to download the Remind app. You can find it here, you can find it here. Either one will take you to the same place. Right? Now, what is Remind app? Remind app is a way that you and I will communicate. I don't use the Blackboard email tool. I find it cumbersome. Students usually don't check it for days later. This is an app you can put on your smartphone. If you don't have a smartphone, you can also you can set it up if you follow the instructions right here. To get the text as well. You can also check Remind on your desktop as well, or tablet, whatever it is. But this is the way we'll communicate. Now, I do have a phone number, but I don't suggest you calling me to initiate a conversation. If we do need to talk on the phone, let's do it here. And the reason for that is you guys have very different schedules than I do. I'm the chair of the department, so I'm in and out of meetings. And usually, when students are contacting me, it's for something that can be responded to very quickly in a message. And it can be frustrating for both you and I if it's taking 2 or 3 days just to find out where a chapter is located in this course, or just to let me know that a post-test is not working, whatever the case may be, right? If we do need to talk on the phone, absolutely, I would love to talk to you. Or if you want to come visit my office, I'm on the Pecan campus in the new building, the P building, North Academic P building, 3126, third floor, basically. Would love to see you, would love to talk to you, but this is the way to initiate it. That way we can, because I usually get back to students pretty quickly. And if for some reason I do not get back to you within a day, even sooner, don't hesitate to message me back, right? I might not have gotten your message. I got a whole bunch of messages in one day, as you got lost in the shuffle. I meant to get back to you, but I just didn't because other things kind of popped up through the day. So I won't find it rude or pushy if you message me the next day and say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of you. I still have this question, whatever the case is, right? So you're going to, after watching this video, please, if you have not done so already, get those questions that were provided to you for the orientation exam. That's basically the test bank for the orientation exam. So if you take notes while you're watching this, and for the orientation exam, you can use all the notes you want. It's the only exam that you can use all of the notes you want. I'll explain later about the pre-test and post-test, but the orientation exam, you can use all the notes that you want. Simply take notes using those questions. So as we go over parts of this course here, just take notes as the information comes up that align with the questions, and you will do fine on the orientation exam. You must pass it with a 100%. You can take it as many times as you need, but if you do just take careful notes, you won't have to take it more than once, maybe twice at the most. So usually students get done no more than twice. I've never seen a student always fail it, and if you're having trouble with one question, that's where we can get each other on Remind and possibly have a phone conversation, or you can come visit me at my office. All right, so orientation exam, it will be located, it'll actually be located, this folder will be located at the top of the page right underneath my muggy picture right there. Okay, so let's see. When you are done with the orientation exam, and anytime you take an exam in this course, please get me on Remind. Send a message on Remind to me indicating that you have completed whatever it is, the orientation exam, the pre-test, or post-test. That way I can get back to you, especially since there are no hard, fast, there's only one due date in this course, but beyond that it's open. And so in a regular course, I'm checking at the due date to begin grading, and so students usually get their exams graded usually a day or two after an exam or assignment is due for this class. There are no due dates, so it is very helpful if you message me once you're done so I can get you moving along in this course. All right. Yeah, the only hard fast date is for the pretest and the orientation exam must be done by this Friday, October 26th. If it is not, and you haven't successfully completed the orientation exam with a 100% or higher, or not higher, just with 100%, and have completed the pretest, you will be withdrawn from the course. So just keep that in mind. This kind of just lets me know that you are engaged in the course and you have an idea of how to proceed. And the rest of the dates, they're suggested, right? See how it says suggested up here? These are suggested dates in a competency-based course. There are no hard, fast due dates beyond except the first week. Please, please, please adhere to the schedule. So the only thing you're getting graded on is the post-test. If you wait, sometimes students will wait until mid-November, December to begin this course, and by then it's too late. So do keep that in mind. This is suggested, but I would pretend that this is real. Let's see. Let's look at the syllabus real quick. So looking at the syllabus real quick, here's another place to download the Remind app, right? Let's see. A lot of this stuff you can kind of go through on your own. Just want to make sure that you understand that there are 5 competencies. So competencies 5 through 9, that'll a total of 5. This is a competency-based course, so do keep in mind that there are only 3 grades. So 3 grades in this course, A, B, or F. So in a normal course, if you get below 80%, you get a 79 or a 75. That's a C, right? And that passes the course. You don't have to take it again. That transfers over to most universities just fine, no problem. But in this course, yeah, if you get a 79% or lower, you have failed the course. Also, keep in mind, you must pass with an 80% or higher all of the post-tests for each competency, right? And once you've done that, then I take the average of your score to apply your grade, either A, B, or F, as it falls within these percentage ranges here, as indicated. But yeah, if you get a 95% on competencies 5 through 8 and just don't do competency 9 or fail competency 9, you will get an F in the course. So do keep that in mind. Incompletes, basically, they are not granted in this course, only under extraordinary circumstances. And I mean extraordinary, not that you got sick towards the end and weren't able to do the last things. I've seen lots of students do very well in this course. When they get to the end, they don't get that last competency. You know what the course is ahead of time. That's why we're going through it. You have a suggested schedule. I highly suggest adhering to it and not taking any chances. And that suggested schedule too, keep in mind, let's go back to it real quick. Right, so the suggested schedule, if you do have an extraordinary circumstance, the first thing I'm going to look at is how close you were aligned to the suggested schedule. If you were beginning the course basically in mid-November, even as late as December, no matter what your extraordinary circumstances, you will not be granted an incomplete. But if you had been kind of playing along the whole time and more or less getting done, competency 5 done around November 2nd, maybe a day late, maybe a day early even. Try doing it early. Be very helpful in case things do come up in life, because they usually do. November 9th, you got 6 done, 7, November 16th, so on and so forth, right? If you adhered to it and you just didn't get to Comp 9 towards the end, because something came up that was extraordinary, you would be most likely granted an incomplete if the circumstance was extraordinary. By extraordinary, I mean like a documented car accident in which you were hurt, or a very close loved one where you had to be a caretaker for, and that you could document that, where you get maybe cancer, some sort of terminal disease or some sort of disease that requires acute medical attention, those kinds of things. Not I got the flu towards the end and couldn't get to it. That sort of stuff. Please don't even bother asking unless you just want to hear the answer to be no. So going back to the syllabus. So incompletes. Post-tests, all 20, they all count as 20%, so there's 5 of them. 20 times 5 is 100. That's 100% of the grade, right? So you can go on and read the rest if you like through here. It's just kind of nuts and bolts of the things, but let's take a look at the course. So first thing you're going to do after you're done with the orientation exam is then you want to get me on Remind, but then take the pretest before October 26th. And the way you'll do that is you will go here to competencies, right? Click there. And if it's hidden, right? Sometimes it's hidden. Just got to find this arrow right here, click it, open it on up, and click competencies. Go to competency 5. Now this is what it's going to look like for you before you take the pretest. I'll show you what it'll look like after you take the pretest, but you'll go here, and the pretest. Sometimes you'll have to scroll down. Pretest is down below after the instructions. You'll click here, and you notice requires Respondus Lockdown Browser webcam. What that's indicating is you have to download Lockdown Browser. You can download that software right here. It's also available in the syllabus. It's available also, if you noticed right here, Respondus Lockdown Resources, a little tutorial. If you're not familiar with it, this is about a 2-minute video. I highly suggest just watching that video so you get familiar with it. Here is the software right here. Here are frequently asked questions. Highly suggest looking at that if you have any confusion or need clarification on that. You could always get me on Remind as well. But basically what it is it prevents you from opening up other windows while you're taking the exam. And you're just basically taking it in a different lockdown browser. Note this, if you try to take the pretest, the orientation exam, or a post-test in another browser like Mozilla or Chrome or Internet Explorer or Safari, whatever the case is, it will ask you for a password. I wish it didn't do that. It's kind of silly, but what it's saying is that you are not opening it up in Lockdown Browser. Basically, the password is opening up Blackboard through the Lockdown Browser. So when you open up Blackboard through the Lockdown Browser, it'll take you straight to the Blackboard login page, and then you just go to your course. You go to where the exam is located within the course, and you take the course from there. You also need to have a webcam. So if you don't have one, most people do. Most computers now, they're being built with them, and that's been happening for probably the last 5 years. But if you don't, if you go on to Amazon, you can get a functional, very good webcam for as low as $5. So please get it as quickly as possible. If you have problems with it, most students do not. Most students are able to do this no problem. But every once in a while, there might be some issues. Do get a hold of distance education. I don't know what's wrong with your computer or your webcam, but distance education might be able to help you. Googling helps in that regard. Basically, troubleshoot Monitor. It's called Monitor, or Respondus Lockdown Browser, and you can sometimes figure it out on your own. There's somebody out there who's probably made a YouTube video on all of this to help you figure it out on this stuff. You could reach out to me and explain this, and sometimes I can help you, but more often than not, I don't know what specifically is wrong with your computer and why it's not working. But again, 99% of students have no problem whatsoever. But if you don't have a webcam, again, Amazon has them as low as $5. So take your pretest. Now let me say a word about the pretests. A lot of students feel bad because they don't do very well on the pretests. It's a competency-based course. You cannot use notes on the pretest. So that's why the webcam is there. And let me explain something about cheating in this class. If there is any form of cheating, if you're using notes during the pretest, or if you're using more notes than are allowed on the post-test, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. If you're working on on a tablet while you're taking it, you will be You'll just earn a failing grade for the course. It doesn't matter what degree that you choose to cheat. I know none of you are going to cheat, but sometimes students do choose to cheat. So if you were thinking like, oh, I'll just cheat through this course because it's kind of pervasive. A lot of people take online classes specifically for that because they aren't held accountable. I will hold you accountable for it if you choose to cheat. None of you are, but if there is somebody out there who wants to cheat, you will earn a failing grade. You will not be withdrawn from the course. You will earn a failing grade for the course. Any infraction, there will be no warning. I will let you know, here's what you did. You are still in the course, but you will earn a failing course, so you might as well not do anything in the course, but you will earn a failing grade for the entire session. All right, but nobody's going to do that, so that's neither here or there. But I do need to throw that out there. But don't feel bad. This is a competency-based course. If you're taking this instead of another course, you're basically saying, I'm competent in U.S. history. Give me the pretest so I can demonstrate it. Most students don't do very well because, well, they're not immersed in the material for U.S. history. They don't read U.S. history on a regular basis. They don't write about U.S. history on a regular basis. That's how you become competent at U.S. history. So I've yet to see a student who's never taken a U.S. history class competent in U.S. history. Even students who do take U.S. history classes, they're not going to be competent in it. So it's a pretty high bar to claim that you're competent. But there's many, many reasons to take a competency-based course beyond just demonstrating competencies. They're convenient. They're open to whatever schedule that works for you. So all of that stuff is great. But keep in mind, don't really worry about your score on the pretest. Most likely, you're not going to do very well. And that's not a poor reflection on you. It's just you haven't prepared for it. So don't worry about it. My suggestion is just to take the pretest. Don't worry about even the questions. Just kind of blaze through it and see what material comes up for you. So let's see what happens. Once you take the pretest, this is basically more or less what it's going to look like for you. Go back to competencies, competency 5. So you take the pretest and then you will see what's assigned, right? Chapters 15 and 17, Reconstruction and Conquering the West. You start by clicking the folder. And you're going to notice that there's a study guide. There is an essay prompt for this particular one. Not all of the chapters have an essay prompt. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. There is a required text. This is basically the textbook. We'll open that up in just a little bit. There are primary sources and highly recommended videos, which I would, since this is a competency-based course and the bar is high, you must earn a B or higher to pass this course, I would suggest using these as if they were required. And I'll tell you how they apply in just a little bit later. And before I do, what we'll basically do is we'll have a part 2 because we're getting 18 minutes into this. That's fine. I want to make sure you guys know what all the expectations are. But part 2 will basically, I'll give you advice and techniques on how to successfully prepare for this course. And students that adhere to this advice usually do very well in this course. Students that do not, don't. So yeah. Do tune into part 2 and keep your questions for part 2 close by you so you can take notes and all of that. So here we go. I'll see you in part 2.